Chalo, so let us start with the registration ka part again. Yesterday we have discussed section number 22. 22 was all about when you cross the threshold limit. Only in that case, if you cross the threshold limit, and threshold limit is checked through the aggregate turnover. So if you cross threshold limit through the aggregate turnover, in such a case, it would be that you have to get registered at such places. Audible? You have to get registered at such places only where from the state you are doing the taxable supply of goods or taxable supply of service. Even though threshold limit crosses, after crossing the threshold limit, if they find that out of 5 states you are doing totally exempt supply from 3 states, then in that 3 states you are not required to get registered. Then after that we have discussed, this is the threshold limit, that is aggregate turnover limit is actually 20 lakh. It is actually 10 lakh and it is actually 40 lakh depending on the state. When it comes to 10 lakh, it is M square NT, that was Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland and Tripura. When it comes to your 20 lakh ka turnover, the 20 lakh ka turnover we have done PAM Travel US. So P for Puducherry, A for Arunachal Pradesh, M for what? Is it Mizoram or Manipur or it is Meghalaya now?
Meghalaya.
Meghalaya. Then M for Meghalaya. After Meghalaya, PAM ho gaya. PAM travel. T for, is it Tripura or it is Telangana? Telangana. Okay. Then it is Telangana. And after Telangana, it is what? U for Uttarakhand and S for Sikkim. Right? So PAM travel US, there is 20 lakh ka turnover. And when it comes to Jo hai, Jo is J for Jammu and Kashmir, O for other state, H for Himachal Pradesh and A for Assam. These are all the states, different states where different turnover limit is there, and Jo hai is for 40 lakh. So section 28 will tell us about all this. When I have to apply the threshold limit of 40 lakh, when it is exclusively you are dealing in goods only. When it is exclusive supply of goods, in such a case, you would be able, it would be, if that is Jo hai wala states, then it is 40 lakh ka turnover limit. Then after that we have discussed that there are certain exceptions to this 40 lakh also. If you are compulsory required to get registered, in such a case this 40 lakh ka limit is not applicable. Second is when you want voluntary registration, जब खुद को ही voluntary registration लेना है, then also it is not applicable. Then third is when you are doing notified wala manufacturing, notified goods ki manufacturing, that was ice cream, that was tobacco substitute wale product. In such a case again there is no concept of 40 lakh wala limit. Apart from that, if you are doing interstate supply, that means anywhere you are compulsory required to get registered, this limit is not applicable to you. Then we have also discussed after 40 lakh limit, we have discussed that if you were registered under, before the appointed date you were registered, you have to again get registered under GST. If it was demerger, if it was succession, if it was amalgamation on the order of High Court, Appellate Tribunal, etc., then from the date of registration will be when certificate of incorporation has been provided. So there you have to get registered. Then 23, you are not at all liable to get registered. So when you are not at all liable to get registered, it was like agriculturist. If you are an agriculturist and you are dealing in only agriculture related things, if you have not attended yesterday class, specifically Shive, just listen to it. I am discussing yesterday ka revision also. Yesterday we have discussed section number 23. 23 is all about when you are not liable to get registered. So point number 1, when I am not liable to get registered is when I do the supply. Even if it is interstate supply of service. So interstate supply of service mein up to 20 lakh you are not required to get registered. Second, if you are an agriculturist, what do you mean by agriculturist? That is, you are doing a cultivation on your own land or your family is doing cultivation on the land. Whatever you have cultivated, if you are doing supply of that product, in such a case, you are not required to get registered. Then if you are a CTP or if you are a person who is doing interstate supply of handcrafted goods. So if you do the interstate supply of handcrafted goods, even you are CTP doing interstate supply of handcrafted goods, then you are not required to get registered. Then if you are exclusively engaged, where you are exclusively engaged, you are exclusively engaged in reverse charge mechanism. That means I do the supply, but my entire supply is taxable under reverse charge mechanism. That means the recipient is doing the compliances of payment of tax. In such a case, I am not required to get registered. If you are doing such a supply that is not liable to tax or has been exempt. Now there is two words, not liable to tax means not at all covered right now in GST. For example, petrol. It is not at all liable to tax in GST because the applicability of tax have been deferred. So if you are not liable to tax or it is liable to tax but have been mega exempted, that means it has been exempted. So if all your supply is related to other not liable to tax or either exempt, in such a case, you are not required to get registered. Done. So it is all about my section number 23. Then moving to section number 24, that was my compulsory registration, that you have to get compulsory registered. Compulsory registration, point number 1, if you are doing interstate supply. When you are engaged in interstate supply of goods, if it is interstate supply of goods, but my exception is one. What is my exception? If it was handcrafted. Interstate supply of handcrafted. So apart from that, if it is not if it is not like handcrafted goods, if you are doing interstate supply of goods, that is compulsory registration. But when it comes to interstate supply of service, there is no compulsory registration because everywhere in interstate supply of service, even if you supply through ECO, there is an exemption limit of what? 20 lakh exemption limit is there. Then again, after interstate supply, if you are an agent, if you act as an agent, then also compulsory registration is there. If you are an ECO who is liable to collect tax, if you are a person who is liable to deduct tax, if you are an input service distributor, in fact, that input service distributor has a normal registration, but still for the purpose of distribution of credit, he is required to get registered separately, specifically for the purpose of input tax credit distribution. If you are an OIDAR, that is online information database access retrieval service, even for that you have to get separate registration. So when it comes to all these things, or even a single purchase you have done, and that is liable for reverse charge mechanism, you have to get compulsory registration. So this is all about my compulsory registration ka points. 22 threshold limit, 23 not liable to get registered, 24 is compulsory registration. Now 25, 26 and 27 is all about a mixture, and that is a procedure. Now revising yesterday ka procedure. Suppose I have done what? I have applied for registration. Now I have applied for registration. So see, this is my registration ki application. I have filed my registration ka application. After filing the registration ka application, you have option. Either three things you have to give compulsory. PAN number you have to give, tick. You have to give email address, tick. You have to give along with email address your mobile number. So three things: PAN number, mobile number, and email address you will be giving. After that, this will be verified. How they will verify all these things? Email pay, you will get OTP. Mobile number pay, you will get OTP. When it comes to PAN number, that will be verified from your CBDT ka database. After the verification of these three things, they will give you an again TRN. TRN is what? Temporary reference number. If they ask in MCQ to generate temporary reference number under registration, what are the three things that are mandatory? That is your mobile number, your email address, and third is your PAN number. So they will give you a temporary reference number. Shivek, focus only here, okay? Now, after giving the temporary reference number, Whatever documents they want, you have to submit all those documents to them. After submission of documents, now the proper officer will verify all the documents. If he finds the documents are in order, then he will issue within 7 working days. Remember, 7 working days. He will issue you what? He will issue you the registration ka certificate. If he finds the things are not in order, he will issue a notice. Now, I'm not right now discussing just a procedure I'm discussing, then we will focus on timings. Now, after finding there is discrepancy, he will issue you the notice. Now, 7 working days is also the time limit, 30 days is also the time limit we will discuss. So, if he gives the notice, he will give you the time to respond to that notice, give the clarification. If you have submitted clarification, he is satisfied with your clarification. In such a case, again, he will issue you the certificate. Now, other case, he has given you the notice, but you have not at all responded, or you have responded, but he is not satisfied with your clarification. In such a case, he will reject your application for registration along with the reason. So, this is the overall procedure going on. This is all the overall procedure. Now, adding Aadhaar authentication to this. What is the meaning of Aadhaar authentication? You have to submit your Aadhaar number and they will send an OTP. That means Aadhaar authentication is there. Why Aadhaar authentication has been mandatory now? Aadhaar authentication is now mandatory. Reason number 1, because we have 2 loopholes. Earlier, what happened ki if I get registered, if I fail to file 6 month ka continuous return, my registration would get cancelled. So people started taking advantage of this loophole. They get registered because earlier there was no Aadhaar authentication. You just have to submit your document. Nothing was there. When you submitted document, obviously false Aadhaar could be made. It is a very easy task to just change the number. Formatting is done. So they will submit the false Aadhaar and easy registration was possible. After the easy registration, what they started doing, I got registered by giving my false Aadhaar, etc. Now I will start distributing the invoice. Invoice, that is tax invoice. Now what is the benefit of distributing this tax invoice? That other person will be able to claim ITC and I will obviously charge something from them. So I was distributing false ITC. That means there was no supply, but I was generating invoices. No supply, but invoice was getting generated. When I am giving you invoices, what does that mean? It means that I am selling the things. I am having outward supply. When I am having outward supply, I fail to file the return for 6 months. I will not file my return for 6 months. Eventually, my registration would get cancelled. Now, even if after that department wants to search me, they will find my place of business. There is no place of business. Or they will find a blank garden or over there, a blank ground over there where I have booked my place of business. So in such a way, they were distributing credit. And after distribution of credit, that other person had utilized the benefit and he has failed to file the return and he has just booked a fake credit for others. So this was the process going on. Therefore, they made Aadhaar verification very mandatory, authentication mandatory when you apply for registration. So now I'm applying for the registration. Along with that, I have given my Aadhaar card. Now there would be an OTP, that is Aadhaar authentication. Now I have 2 options. At the time of filing the application, I have 2 options. Either I will opt for Aadhaar authentication because I'm having Aadhaar and I want to opt for Aadhaar authentication. Or I will choose that I don't have till now Aadhaar card. I do not want to opt for Aadhaar authentication. If you opt, yes, you want to do the Aadhaar authentication. In such a case, 2 options are possible. Either OTP aayega, either OTP nahi aayega. You will succeed in Aadhaar authentication or you will not succeed in Aadhaar authentication. Why? You might find ki OTP you are getting or you might find ki OTP nahi aa raha hai, it is not coming. So both the conditions are possible. So you opted for Aadhaar authentication? Yes. OTP done. Okay. So now the process is completed and within 7 working days from the date of submission of application, your registration approved. That is your deemed approval. Remember? That is called as deemed approval. Just you have done the Aadhaar authentication within 7 working days. Focus on the word working days. It is not days. So within 7 working days, your registration process will get approved. But now you have chosen that I want to do the Aadhaar authentication, but I am unable to do the Aadhaar authentication because there is no OTP. OTP nahi aa raha hamare phone pe. No OTP is coming. In such a case, you fail to do the Aadhaar authentication. Or you opted कि I do not want to do Aadhaar authentication. नहीं करना मुझे Aadhaar authentication. Or proper officer feels कि whatever you have chosen, but I want कि पहले there should be site verification of your place. So 3 cases. When you opted for Aadhaar authentication but failed to do that. Second, when you opted that you do not want to do the Aadhaar authentication. And third, when proper officer itself want कि नहीं, first of all we will do the physical verification of your site, then only we will give you the registration. In such case, within 30 days. In such case, within 30 days, it is now not working days. Whenever opt-out wala procedure coming, whenever failure is coming, whenever proper officer is deciding something, now they are taking 30 days. So from the 30 days from the submission of application, if they do the site verification, etc., after that you will get your deemed approval for the application. So now they are having 30 days to give you the application. For time limit, they have 30 days to issue the show cause notice. There are certain discrepancies, etc. Once they have given, now these are all your discrepancies, not at all in order. So you have 7 working days. You have what? 7 working days to reply. Then you reply. After the reply, they have 7 working days. They will check everything. After checking, within 7 working days, they will reply you back. Either you will get the registered, either it would be registration or cancellation with reason. This is the overall procedure of your registration. GST registration ka overall procedure. Okay? Now, I am liable to get registered. On 1st of April, my threshold limit crossed. On 1st of April, my threshold limit crossed. It could be 10 lakh, it could be 20 lakh, it could be 40 lakh. Or I was not crossing my threshold limit, but one single RCM ka transaction, it made me compulsory registration ka. Okay? So it was only single RCM wala point and it made me to get registered compulsory. So that day, I am not liable to get registered. On that day, now I am liable to get registered. When you are now liable to get registered, in such a case, what would happen? Within 30 days, now it is not working days, normal 30 days. Within 30 days, you should apply for application. Now, what was the effect of applying within 30 days? If I get liable to get registered on 1st April and within 30 days, I'm applying for that application. In such a case, registration will be deemed to have approved. They will deem to have approved registration from this date. That is from 1st April only. If you apply within 30 days, it will be deemed that your registration has been granted from 1st April. What is the impact of this? From 1st April till the date of registration, all the purchase you have done, ITC allowed. All the sales you have done, you will give output tax liability on that. Second case, I failed to apply within 30 days from the date I become liable to register. I became liable to registration on 1st April. I should have applied within 30 days, that is 30th April. I failed to do that. Now, in such a case, if you fail to apply within 30 days, what is the scenario? First of all, what is my date of registration now? It would not be from retrospective. Now, it would be the date they will grant you the registration. Suppose now they grant you registration on 30th April, for an example. 30th April, they are granting you registration, so your registration will be counted from 30th May. Now, what will happen? From 1st April till 30th May, I have done lots of purchase. But now my registration getting valid from 30 May only. I am doing purchase from April to May. I am doing purchase. They will not allow any ITC. Chalo, loss of ITC so I can bear, but whatever sales you have done from 1st April till 30th May, sales pay you have to pay the taxes. So your registration will be valid from the date they have granted registration, but they will take taxes from that date only, but they will not allow you ITC on that thing. Understood? All these things we have discussed. Specifically, if you do not want to watch video now, you can only do the reading part also. Okay, that will be relevant. But if you want to watch, that depends on you. So entire thing I have discussed right now. Okay. Understood? Himadri, why video off? Have you listened? Even you are late, I have revised entire last night ka class.
Okay, ma'am.
Be on time. Sure. Now, what about amendment of registration? There is possibility that there would be certain amendments in registration. Sometimes amendment like I want to change the name of my business. Sometimes it would be I want to change the constitution of my business. I want to change the nature of my business. So when there are amendment in registration, for this purpose, directly I would say you should move directly to this. This chart is more than sufficient for the explanation. Now, when you want to do certain amendments, there are two types of amendment. Core field information में amendment and non-core field information का amendment. There are two types of amendment, core information and non-core information. What is core information? See, when you want to do any amendment in your core field, you need permission of proper officer. But when I want to change my phone number, for that proper officer ka permission is not needed. So whenever you want to do anything like core field mein amendment you want to do, take proper officer ka permission. Ma'am, it is not core field. In such a case, normally your amendment would be done. There will be no permission ka procedure. Understood this much? Now, when I want to do amendment in my core field, permission of proper officer required if change relates to core field. Now, what is that core field? Now, core field. Any such change does not warrant cancellation of registration. Now, this is not about cancellation. It is just amendment. If you want to change the legal name of the business, now this is important. Now, why you want to change the name of the business? अरे पहले वाले business के नाम पे the business that was registered earlier, on that name there were lot of liability. You have taken lots of loan. Now you want to change the name of the business. So first of all, take the permission of proper officer. The legal name of business, when you want to change the address, why change of address now important and core field? Can anyone tell me? Why is it important?
Because can change.
Because of that fly-by-night operations.
Yes, it could be na कि they are telling कि बता दिया, दिखा दिया, they have shown कि देखो this is my site, this is my place of business, and later on change the site. अब बार-बार तुम change करोगे, तो therefore it is a core area. When you change the legal name of the business, when you change the address, that is additional or principal place, you have to tell. Now, any addition, deletion, retirement of partner, director, karta, as the case may be. If it is firm, it would be partner ka addition, deletion. If it is company, then director ka addition, deletion. Karta, if it is HUF, so it depends. So wherever addition, deletion of karta, partner, director, board of trustee, chief executive officer, or equivalent responsible for day-to-day affairs. So can I say these are key members? So whenever addition, deletion in your key members, in such a case, these three are core area. MCQ. What is not the core area? So three things would be given. One thing, amendment in your email ID, amendment in your PAN number, anything. So what is not a core area, they could ask in MCQ. Or what are the core areas? So all of the above. Are you getting? No. Changes of two particulars shall be applicable for all registration of registered person obtained under same pen. Obviously, wherever same pen where you are getting registered, so all these changes will be applicable there. That means legal name be applicable to all the PAN number, same PAN number ka registration, as well as this. this will also be applicable to same PAN number ka registration. So with same PAN, I have registered in 5 states. So in 5 states, my legal name will change. In 5 states, all this deletion, addition of karta, deletion, addition of partner will be applicable. Obviously, address will not be applicable to 5 states. क्योंकि ये state wise address होगा. Understood? आया? Now, mobile number, email, address can be amended only after online verification. Are you getting? This is non-core field. Mobile number ka change, email address of the authorized signatory. Authorized signatory is this person, key members. So authorized signatory ka email address you want to change, mobile number you want to change. Simply just OTP they will send you, and then you can easily amend ho jayega. Understood? Now this is the procedure. Registered person, or what is this UIN? What is this UIN?
Unique
identification number.
Yes, unique identification number for whom?
United
United.
So when it is registered person, okay, when it is registered person UIN want a core area ka amendment, he will submit the application. Then from submission of application within 15 days, of change, what will happen now? This will, when you submit, I want to do certain core area ka change, you will submit, and submission ke baad on GST portal you will find that within 15 days changes would be there on GST portal if my proper officer is of the opinion that okay, this amendment could be done. So when you submit, then within 15 days, my proper officer will be checking everything. If proper officer is satisfied that all these amendments are okay, I can do the amendment. In such a case, if proper officer is of the opinion that amendment is unwarranted or if the documents are incomplete, if he thinks so, then what will happen? If he thinks no, nothing is like that, in such a case, within next 15 days, he will give you registration certificate. So this is again about days. I have submitted application within 15 days. First of all, my proper officer will check. Then in next 15 days, he will grant you the registration if he finds that everything is in order, no issues in that. Now he finds no, there is an issue, point to be noted. He finds there is an issue. Either the amendment is not good, unwarranted amendment, or the documents are incomplete. Now, in such a case, what is this? Within 15 working days of receipt of application. Are you noticing? Here it was 15 days. Here it was 15 days. But when there is amendment and he doesn't think that amendment is good, then within 15 working days from the receipt of application, he will give you a show cause notice. He will issue or serve. He will serve a show cause notice to you, and he will serve show cause notice that why your application should not be rejected. Now you have to reply again within 7 working days. Are you getting? It's all about where to apply working days and where to apply only days. So it is within 7 working days, you have to give the clarification. If he is satisfied with the clarification, okay, he will give you registration. If he is not satisfied, then again, within 7 working days, he will reject your application. Getting? So every time rejection, 7 working days, something wrong happening, 7 working days, 7 working days, or 15 working days. But when it was application wala part, when something wrong happened, that was days. Udhar days chalu hote the when it was wrong in application for registration. Here, when it is amendment of purpose, if wrong is happening, then working days have started. Are you getting what I am trying to say? कि कैसे याद रखना है कब working days पे shift होगे? When fresh application and something wrong, then days. And when amendment and something wrong, then working days. So you should write it down. लिख लो ये तो याद रहेगा कब working days कब नहीं. When fresh application and everything in order. When fresh application and everything in order, write working days. Write working days. And when amendment and everything in order. Write days. Now you can write vice versa also. You can write days also. Done? Ma'am, what if it is a non-core amendment? Nothing. Just give the details about your non-core amendment. Then amendment will be carried on GST portal. Simply an OTP will come and your amendment will be there. No proper officer ka involvement in non-core area. Now quickly do the reading of this analysis within 5 minutes. 9.53. It starts from 9.53. Then this is important. And this is the last section of your registration. Let me know once done. Done? Sure. Focus here. Now you have applied for registration. You have amended the registration. Now it is the turn for cancellation of your registration or suspension of registration or even revocation of cancellation. First of all, they can cancel your registration. Okay. They can even suspend for some time your registration, that your registration has been suspended for 15 days, 20 days, as the case may be. And if the order that I want to cancel your registration, can you ask for revocation? What do you mean by revocation? Anyone?
मैम एसेसिंग ऑफिसर जब मेरा कैंसिल कर देता है तो उसको फिर से हम रिकवर करते हैं, उसको रिवोकेशन करते हैं।
कहना ऐसे कि रुक जाओ, इन शॉर्ट कि रुक जाओ, मत करो. So it is cancellation of registration, yes. It is suspension of registration, okay. It is also, you can also revoke it. Please stop cancellation of my registration. You can also revoke that thing. Okay. Now, first of all, when there is cancellation of registration, I have already discussed this in assessment. Can someone tell me all the pointers when they can cancel your registration?
मैम 6 महीना वो बिजनेस स्टार्ट नहीं किया।
Okay. Second,
6 महीना तक वो रिटर्न नहीं भरा।
कौन सा? Is it normal वाला और composition वाला?
कंपोजिशन वाला।
3 महीने का कंपोजिशन।
Composition वाला in 6 months. Okay.
यस मैम।
Then normal वाला कितना?
Normal, for composition, it is 3 consecutive periods.
Composition is 3 consecutive tax periods. Abhishek.
Normal, it is
And normal is 6 months. ठीक है, normal का 6 month है, composition का 3 consecutive tax period है, और 3 हुए, और क्या है? बोलो.
Of any provision.
हाँ?
Contravention of any provision.
Contravention of any provision of the act, or
डेथ ऑफ रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन।
date of
मर गया वो जिसका रजिस्ट्रेशन हुआ था।
Okay, okay, ठीक है. Now death of that person. Then
बिजनेस डिसकंटिन्यू।
वो cancellation, okay, वो voluntary cancellation हो गया. और
Registration obtained by fraud or misrepresentation of facts.
registration obtained by fraud, misrepresentation of fact. Himadri, repeat all the pointers now.
Misrepresentation of facts. A normal taxable person who is not paid 6 months, sorry, not filed the 6 months of return. Composite person who is not filed 3 consecutive period, and if he death of the person, discontinuance of business. Then what is one more now? I'm not able to hear you.
Why I will ask you, because I know you have forgotten the same.
No.
It's only 4 you have told, or 11. Focus. जहां डांटने का मौका मिलता है तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल सिट स्ट्रेट हिमालय. Have to maintain the decorum that you are in class, you are not sitting at home.
Okay, ma'am.
Sit straight and answer. It's only 4. It
Four,
is one is 6 month wala, one is 3 months, 3 consecutive text period, then one is discontinued, death हो गया, then और भी तो है 2 3. Mr. Presentation done.
मैम उसमें क्या आता है, इंडिविजुअल है फर्म में सक्सेशन करेगा तब उसका कैंसिलेशन होगा.
आवाज सही नहीं समझ में आई अभिषेक.
इंडिविजुअल व्हेन सक्सेशन इन फर्म.
समझने इंडिविजुअल क्या बोल रहे हैं तुम लोग को समझ में आ रहा है?
इंडिविजुअल फर्म में ट्रांसफर हो जाता है. जैसे
इंडिविजुअल
इंडिविजुअल
फॉर्म में
प्रोप्राइटर.
ट्रांसफर.
यस मैम.
नहीं तुम डीटी यहाँ पे नहीं लेके आओ.
Contravention of law.
हाँ, contravention of law. ठीक है. So now, what about cancellation or suspension? In both the case, either they will choose कि I want to cancel your registration or they can suspend your registration. So proper officer may either on his own motion or an application filed by even the registered person. Ma'am, registered person, why he will file the application? अरे death हो गया, or merger of the business with some other business हो गया, or anything, discontinuation of the business हो गया. So in such a case, either on own motion the proper officer will cancel your registration, or if application is given by the registered person, in such a case he will cancel your registration. Or even the legal hire is giving application that it is the death of that person. Obviously after the death he cannot file an application, so it would be legal hire who will file the application. That please cancel the registration. Then in such a case, registration will be cancelled in such a manner or the period as may be prescribed. Registration could be cancelled. Now, what are the circumstances when it is possible that your registration could be cancelled? सबसे पहले business discontinued, transferred fully for any reason that includes even death also. It could be amalgamation also, it could be demerger also, it could be dispose of the business also. So whatever is the reason, can I say this is voluntary nature ka thing? This is what voluntary nature ka thing, that I want cancellation of my registration because I have discontinued my business, transferred it fully, I have disposed it, whatever as the case may be. Or any constitution of the business has changed. So I am not doing any contravention. These are the circumstances that has forced me to cancel the registration, to get amendment, etc., whatever it is. Taxable person. Now the wording used is taxable person. It's not registered person. Taxable person no longer liable to get registered under 22. That was my 22 was threshold wala. And 24 is my compulsory. Or he himself opted out that he do not want to continue with voluntary registration. So when he himself thinks ki 22 to gaya, why 22 gone? Previously it was only suppose 20 lakh ka threshold limit for goods also. But now the goods ka limit has changed to 40 lakh. Now he is not liable to get registered under section 22. So when not liable to get registered under 22, not liable either for compulsory registration, or he chooses that I do not want to continue with the voluntary registration. These are the 3 cases: voluntary cancellation of registration. Getting it? It is what? Voluntary cancellation of registration. Now suppose during the pendency of proceeding, now proceeding will be going on, that you want to cancel your registration, you have applied. So during this pendency of proceeding, they can even suspend your registration. Proper officer can suspend your registration also for the prescribed time. So because proceeding may take 30 days, proceeding may take 15 days, till that time your registration is suspended. Why they are suspending the registration? Any logic? जरूरत क्या, जब वो कैंसिल करा ही रहा है तो सस्पेंशन की क्या नहीं होगी?
Maybe there is some fraud or something which has to be checked, like.
Then or
तो प्रोसीडिंग्स के टाइम में कुछ मतलब कुछ नहीं होना चाहिए, मतलब बिजनेस नहीं होना चाहिए उनका।
हम टैक्सेस
Suppose I know कि मेरे पास 15 days है, I have 15 days for the cancellation of my registration. एक काम करते हैं, within 15 days issue tax invoices, get collection of GST, कर लेते ना collection, because after cancellation of registration मुझे तो return filing भी नहीं करना, I am not liable to file the returns also. So are you getting? They can use this loophole कि when there is cancellation of registration within the timeline, they will issue the tax invoice, even if they are not issuing tax invoice. अरे बताओ, you are studying GST, therefore you know कि GST and number should be there on tax invoice. If you ask a person who has not at all studied GST, he would not be aware whether he should have GST का registration number or not. He knows कि 15 days after 15 days my business will be closed. Even if government want to trace me, it would be difficult for government also. So are you getting? They can use the loophole here. So therefore, they suspend your registration for the time being. Understood? Done? Then, when proper officer will cancel, so these are my cases. Proper officer feels you have contravened any provision. Proper officer, for 3 consecutive tax period, you have not filed composition wala return. You are not a composition person, but for continuous, do remember this keyword. Compulsory, right? Continuous. For continuous 6 months, you failed to file the return. You have taken voluntary registration but failed to commence business within 6 months from the date of registration. एक तो voluntary registration दिया. You were not liable to get registered compulsory. You have taken voluntary registration. Why 6 months के अंदर no business commenced? Are you getting? Are you getting? This is also 6 months. And this is also 6 months. वो night flyers. 6 month के अंदर ही तो सारी कहानी होती है ना. Everything happens in 6 months. Loophole. Within 6 months, if I am not filing a return, then also 6 months they have taken, and within 6 months you fail to commence the business. So are you getting only ITC के purpose के लिए you got registered कि I am buying ITC, you will utilize ITC. Is it that? So it is 6 months every year. Contravention, okay. If you are composition wala 3 consecutive tax period filed nahi kiya return, okay. Not a composition wala, you have failed to file continuous 6 months, okay. Then after that, what they have given, you have got voluntary registration and still within 6 months you failed to commence your business. Is it from fraud, willful representation? So if you have done fraud, willful representation, they will cancel your registration. But no registration cancellation without giving natural justice, that is opportunity of being heard, is mandatory everywhere. Understood the procedure of cancellation? Good institute ask this obviously. Institute has already asked this direct question: when it is possible proper officer will cancel your registration, or what are the cases of cancellation of registration? Directly 4 marks the question. Now, if I say directly write the 4 marks का question, अभी के अभी लिख के बताओ, I will tell you what are the mistakes you are doing. Right now, I have focused on your writing कि ये लिखना है. Let me check अभी भी याद है कि नहीं. Within 2 minutes, write it down. What are the cases of cancellation of registration? Himadri, quickly. Ashwini, video on. As you write, quickly send me the PDF. अरे कितना लिख रहे हो? Done? Send it quickly. PDF फॉर्म में देना, फोटो खींच के मत देना. Sure. Let us check now. Am I audible? Say yes or no.
Yes, ma'am.
Sure. First of all, Himadri. Registered person has contravened the provision of the Act. Okay. Composite taxpayer not filed the return for 3 consecutive tax periods. Other than composite taxpayer, that is normal taxpayer, filed the return for not filed the return for continuous period of 6 months. Person who taken voluntary registration and not commenced business within 6 months from date of registration. Registration has been taken by misrepresentation of the fact. Is the answer complete? Can anyone tell me, is the answer complete? Yes or no?
Voluntary वाले reasons नहीं लिखे.
हिमाद्री इधर है जिसकी कॉपी चेक हो रही है. हिमाद्री.
Yes, ma'am.
You have written an incomplete answer because it was when cancellation is possible. So cancellation is not only possible by the reason of proper officer, it is even possible voluntary also. Understood? So voluntary way you have to remember what death wala case, should remember amalgamation wala, change in constitution wala that we have discussed right now. Okay?
Okay.
Who is using this graph paper?
Mine, ma'am.
Cases where proper officer cancels. Perfect. First of all, you should actually write the heading na. What are the cases when proper officer can cancel? So Himadri, focus on this. First of all, give a heading. Where registered person has contravened the provision of the Act. Where registered person paying tax has not filed. Who has said that payment of tax is compulsory? Is it necessary that he would be paying tax? What if he is not paying tax in GST? Still you have to file the return. So where registered person not filed the return should not be written like this. Not filing the return for 3 consecutive tax period if he is a composite dealer. Registered person not filing the tax for continuous 6 months. Okay. Where the person who has taken voluntary registration has not commenced business within 6 months from the date of registration. So when it comes to registration wala point, yes, you have to write this. In all the above case, opportunity of being heard provided. Is your answer complete, Uday?
No, ma'am.
Your answer is also incomplete. Then third, Himadri done. Cases of cancellation of registration. Okay, now the cases of cancellation of registration. Proper officer may cancel the registration for following reason. Where there is contravention of any provision of the Act. When the return is not furnished by Section 10 composition levy person for 3 consecutive tax periods. See, actually 3 consecutive has not been mentioned. They have just mentioned 3 tax periods. So 3 consecutive is also good, but 3 consecutive period, which period? 3 consecutive tax period. Where the return is not furnished by the registered person for continuous 6 months. When the registration is obtained by mean of fraud, misrepresentation of fact. Voluntary registration failed to commence the business within 6 months of registration. When taxable person is no longer liable to get registered under this. Now, is it proper officer will cancel or it is
Right.
Voluntary cancel.
Voluntary cancellation.
Are you getting? You have merged it with proper officer ke cases. So everything was going perfect. Just one separation of heading. This is wrong now. Okay, this is not the case. He will do voluntary registration. Proper officer will not cancel your case in this case. Cancellation of any provision of CGST contravention of the any provision of CGST Act. Now, where is the first of all heading? Okay, Shive, heading should be there.
I cropped it.
Contravention of any provision. Where a voluntary registration was sought, but the person has not started business within 6 months from the grant of registration. Where the return for 3 consecutive years has not been filed by a person registered under composition scheme. Person, a normal registered person, not filed the return for 6 consecutive years. Where such registration has been obtained by fraud, misrepresentation of fact. Person, now again, proper heading. This is correct. Everything is correct, but proper heading. Now it is the point of view of voluntary registration cancellation by person. I should understand by this line. This is the border. Fencing has been done. I will not understand this fencing. Even my paper checker will not understand. Okay?
Now voluntary one starts.
अभी तो तुम अपना ऑडियो पॉड बोल पा रहे हो. वहाँ पे you have to keep your audio. अरे ये fencing में इसलिए. Where the person registered under 20 to 24 not liable for registration anymore, or a person who has got voluntary registration does not wish to remain registered. Change in composition of business discontinued for any reason. Everything was perfect apart from that fencing. ये किसका है? अमित किसका है? Person registered under Section 10 not filed the return for 3 consecutive months, other than registered person for 6 months. Person registered voluntary has not commenced the business for a period of 6 months. Person applied for registration with an intention not. He has obtained registration by fraud, misrepresentation of fact. मतलब document से गलत he has submitted. Again, you have merged the points. Merger of the points. No heading of the topic given. ठीक है? Same mistake. Now last, Nikki. अश्विनी का किधर है? अश्विनी? चलो. Cases of cancellation of registration. Proper officer may cancel registration obtained but fails to commence. What is the mistake? Registration obtained but fails to commence business within 6 months from the date of registration. Can anyone identify the mistake over here?
मैम वॉलंटरी रजिस्ट्रेशन वाला था।
It is voluntary registration specifically कि अपनी मर्जी से registration लेके 6 महीने तक तुम्हारा business क्यों start नहीं होगा? Registration obtained by mean of fraud, misrepresentation of fact, willful, ठीक है? Registration obtained but failed to file return for 3 consecutive tax period in case of section 10 and 6 month continuous period of 6 months other than this fails to comply with the provision. Now where is the other part? अश्विनी का किधर है?
I can send photo, PDF नहीं हो पा रहा।
PDF नहीं हो पा रहा, ये तो निक्की का है, उसकी तो राइटिंग से समझ में आ रहा। ओहो, not conducted any business from the declared place of business. अभिषेक जी सामने आइए।
Yes ma'am.
Yes मैम, सबसे पहले तो there is no heading, चलो वो तो छोड़ो, heading तो बात ही अलग है। Not conducted any business from declared place of business कहाँ लिखा है? Where are you specified कि declared place of business से you have to commence the business?
मैम ये बुक में मैंने पढ़ रहा था तो ये फर्स्ट टाइम लिख दिया ये, अभी लिखा हुआ है, फोटोज का भेज दो क्या?
हाँ भले ही भेज दो, बट स्पेसिफिकली इट्स नॉट डिक्लेयर्ड प्लेस ऑफ द बिजनेस, पूरा तो लिखो। सबसे पहले he has taken voluntary registration, वो तो गया पता नहीं कहाँ। He has taken voluntary registration, then within 6 months from the date of registration he failed to commence the business, वो कहाँ है? उसके बारे में पहले फोटो भेजो। वो भी गायब है?
यस मैम।
यस मैम, तुम्हारी बुक में वो भी गायब है? हंसी आ रही है? नो, सबसे पहले तुमने लिखा नहीं। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल यू फेल, वॉलंटरी रजिस्ट्रेशन का पॉइंट ही नहीं। That the person has taken voluntary registration, he failed to commence business within 6 months from the date of registration of पूरी लाइन का है। Violate the provision of GST. GST क्या? Complete तो करो। GST Act, violated any provision of the contravention of the Act. चलो ठीक है। Registered person not filed the return continuous for 6। अच्छा, are you giving this to me कि अपने लिए लिख रहे? उसी में लिख दे। 6 month मतलब रेगुलर, 3 quarter मतलब कंपोजिशन। समझ जाओ मैम, मैं ये लिखना चाहता हूँ। Fraud, willful misstatement, death of registered person। और तुम्हें कितनी बार मैं बोल बोल के थक गई अभिषेक, मुझे पिक मत भेजा करो। एंड रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन तो खत्म ही हो गया, शुरू होने से पहले ही खत्म। यू ओ एन एक्सप्लेनेशन टू मी कि क्या लिखा है मुझे। ऐसे लिख के आओगे एग्जाम में? ये लिखोगे?
नहीं मैम।
फिर इनकम्प्लीट। अब यू पीपल ओनली टेल मी, कितने लोगों यहाँ पे व्हाट इज द कॉमन मिस्टेक? सबसे पहले हेडिंग नॉट देयर, एक एक की वही मिस्टेक है, हेडिंग इज नॉट देयर। सेकंड कॉमन मिस्टेक, मर्जर ऑफ टू कॉन्सेप्ट कि वॉलंटरी का मर्जर विद दी प्रॉपर ऑफिसर वाले का पॉइंट्स। एंड थर्ड मिस्टेक, वो वॉलंटरी तो लिखा ही नहीं आते लोगों ने। इज इट द 3 कॉमन मिस्टेक? Now is it easy for me to give exemption only to that person who has written every point? Are you getting how they frame? I know कि अब मुझे कितनी कॉपी चेक कर ली? I have done only 5, 7, 8 copy I have checked. I know what I have to check in question number 1. Whether he has given heading, tick. He has not merged the concept, tick. He has given all the points together, अलग 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 प्रॉपर पॉइंट लिखे, वॉलंटरी रजिस्ट्रेशन लिखा है, 6 मंथ लिखा है, 3 मंथ्स लिखा है, डन। आर यू गेटिंग हाउ द कॉपी इज बीइंग चेक्ड? सो दे नो फर्स्ट 10 कॉपीज से दे नो कि दे डू नॉट नीड एवरी टाइम सजेस्टेड आंसर टू चेक योर कॉपी। जस्ट फर्स्ट 10 कॉपी कैन टेल मी द कॉमन मिस्टेक डन बाय अ स्टूडेंट, एंड उसके बाद मुझे पता है किसको एग्जामिनेशन दे सकते हैं। आर यू गेटिंग हाउ द कॉपी इज चेक्ड? तो you have to be precise. Therefore, when we say na 100 marks का करके I mean why I am on 54, why I am on 50, 49? Can you notice the reasons why? ठीक है? Now quickly have a reading of section 30. That is the last section we will be completing quickly.
I'm 30 or 29.
कौन सा सेक्शन नंबर पढ़ना?
सिर्फ डायरेक्ट वाला क्वेश्चन, जस्ट दैट. Now one more minute. Focus here. Now, if they will be cancelling your registration, अरे भाई registration cancel हो रहा है, but you have to repay something to government. Now, what you have to repay? When you were registered person, obviously you would be having ITC का accumulated ITC, as well as GST का liability would also be there because you would have done the supply. So in such a case, when every registered person whose registration getting cancelled, he shall pay an amount by way of debit in electronic credit ledger. That is benefit for the government now, na? Debit of credit ledger, or by paying through electronic cash ledger, an amount equal to what has been credited to your input tax, or just immediately before the date of payment, whatever is your tax liability, whichever is higher, you have to pay them. Right? ITC is blocked. You have an ITC accumulated. So you have to pay either the ITC ka amount back to government that you have utilized unnecessary. Now you are not registered. So your ITC will not be given to you. Or the output tax liability you are having. इसमें से whatever is higher, you have to pay back to the government. Now suppose I have ITC 10 lakh का accumulated. 10 lakh ITC accumulated मेरा है वो, belongs to me. Government would have credited the electronic credit ledger. Done. But now after cancellation that ITC will not be available to you. So they will debit it. Instead of credit, now वो क्या हो जाएगा? Debit. But I have output tax liability of say 12 lakh rupees. So 2 lakh you have to pay in cash ledger and 10 lakh they will debit from your credit ledger. Understood this? Understood? So you have to repay them because ITC was my property, my asset. This is not your property because it is cancellation of your registration. So when your registration will be cancelled, they will debit your electronic credit ledger. Shivek, I have asked you in the audio note also. You have asked me a question. Refund nahi ho raha, something was that ki first place pe debit is necessary. So I asked you ki when to debit, when to credit. When it comes to refund ka concept, when they have eventually rejected your refund, the concept kabhi debit hua hi nahi na. Electronic credit ledger was never debited. So why to credit it back again? जब उन्होंने मान ली तुम्हारी एप्लीकेशन ही कैंसिल कर दी, यू हैव अप्लाइड फॉर रिफंड, जीरो रेटेड सप्लाई में आईटीसी का रिफंड पॉसिबल, से यस और नो? जीरो रेटेड सप्लाई में आईटीसी का रिफंड इज पॉसिबल. यू हैव अप्लाइड कि मुझे रिफंड चाहिए अबाउट दैट आईटीसी, आई वांट आईटीसी का रिफंड, रिजेक्टेड योर एप्लीकेशन. व्हेन एप्लीकेशन एट फर्स्ट प्लेस रिजेक्टेड, तो नेवर राइट, तुम्हारा इलेक्ट्रॉनिक क्रेडिट लेजर डेबिट ही तो नहीं हुआ कभी. When never debited, तो how could you even credit again? पहले डेबिट तो होता तब भी फिर से क्रेडिट करते ना, तो that was that question. ठीक है. So इलेक्ट्रॉनिक क्रेडिट लेजर, यहाँ पे कैंसिलेशन ऑफ योर रजिस्ट्रेशन, दे विल डेबिट योर इलेक्ट्रॉनिक क्रेडिट लेजर. बाय डेबिट, अब वो गवर्नमेंट की प्रॉपर्टी. डेबिट व्हाट व्हेन एसेट्स इंक्रीज, डेबिट होता है ना, तो गवर्नमेंट की प्रॉपर्टी. Now your liability is, they will compare your output tax liability or ITC, whichever is higher you have to pay, either through credit ledger or either through your cash ledger. Understood? So this was the entire concept of 29. Now ma'am, when it comes to capital wala goods, this point you will find more comfortable when we will be doing ITC, because ITC में बोला है when it comes to capital goods, your ITC will be reduced by 5% per quarter. So there is a point that we will find in ITC का chapter. Then you will find कि ये very easy. इसमें कुछ भी नहीं. So just remember, capital goods के लिए there is a 5% का reduction per quarter based in your ITC. So you have to reduce ITC by 5% or output tax liability, whichever is higher. Understood? So tomorrow we will be completing the composition dealer wala part. Registration ka only this section number 30. So this too will complete, and then your test your knowledge ke questions about the registration, because registration ke questions are being asked. So again that we will discuss in class. So from now, whether registration, whether ITC, whether it is mega exemption, all the questions will be discussed in class, because this is important. ठीक है? चलो. So again 7:45.
2 minutes.